It is still dark in Rome, and there is already a crowd outside your front door. They are not intruders. They are the first appointment of your day, and you are not allowed to skip it. You are a senator of Rome, one of about 600 men in the council that runs an empire, and from this moment until you fall asleep tonight, almost nothing you do will be private.
Inside, the house is already working. A slave lays out your tunic, white wool with a broad purple stripe running down from the shoulder. That stripe is the latus clavus, and it does your talking before you say a word. Every person you pass today will read your rank off your chest. Then comes the toga, an enormous sheet of heavy wool that has to be folded, wound, and draped over you in careful layers. You cannot put it on properly by yourself. Trained hands arrange it while you stand still, like a statue being finished. At first light, the doors open, and the crowd flows into your atrium. This is the salutatio, the morning greeting, and it happens at houses like yours all over the city. The men waiting are your clients, citizens bound to you by favors given and favors owed. One by one they greet you, roughly in order of their own standing. One needs a loan. One needs a word spoken to a magistrate. One has a lawsuit coming and wants you beside him in court. And some need nothing at all today. They have come simply to be seen greeting you, because being your man is worth something in their own street. In return, they get your protection, your influence, sometimes a small handout of food or coins. But understand what you get. Every head in that atrium is a unit of your power. Romans count crowds. A senator whose hall is full at dawn is a man on the rise. A senator greeting 3 people in an empty atrium is a man everyone can safely ignore. If your family is old enough, the painted wax faces of your ancestors watch all of it from their shrine in the atrium, and they set the standard you are failing or keeping. When you leave for the forum, the crowd leaves with you. That is the point of it. You walk through Rome inside a moving column of your own supporters, and the size of that column is read by everyone you pass, the way we might read a title or a uniform. The streets are already loud. Shop shutters coming down, mule carts, schoolboys reciting under porticos. Your escort pushes through all of it, and you try to look like a man who has never once worried about anything. The Forum is the floor of the Roman world. Law courts, money changers, temples, the speaker's platform, and 1,000 running conversations about who is up and who is finished. Here is an honest note before we go further. No senator left us a diary of one complete day. This day is assembled from letters, laws, satire, and the buildings themselves. Call it a morning in the reign of Augustus, a few years after the Senate got its new home. The pieces are real. The man is a reconstruction.
Today, a consul has summoned the Senate, so your morning belongs to the state. The Senate can only meet on ground made sacred by ritual, and nothing starts until the gods are consulted. A sacrifice is made. The signs are read. If the signs are bad, 600 of the most powerful men in the world go home. Nobody around you finds that strange. In Rome, the gods sit in on every meeting.
Inside, the Senate House is a tall, rectangular hall, and it works nothing like a modern parliament. 2 broad, low platforms run down the long walls, facing each other across a patterned marble floor. Senators sit on benches in rough order of rank. There are no microphones and no seats for the public. At the far end, on a low platform, the presiding consul states the business of the day, and then he starts asking opinions. Out loud, in order, starting from the most senior men in the room.
If you are a senior man, an ex-consul, you will be asked early, and the room will actually listen. If you are junior, you may sit for hours while the same argument is made a fourth time, knowing your turn may never come. Many senators almost never speak at all. Romans called them roughly the walkers, because their whole contribution was to stand up and walk. And that walk is the vote.
When the consul has heard enough, he divides the house. Those who support the motion cross to one side of the hall. Those against cross to the other. There is no secret ballot and nowhere to hide. Your body is your vote, and every ally, every rival, and every man who owes you money watches which way you walk. Cross wrong, and you may spend years paying for those 10 steps.
Here is the strange part. What the Senate produces at the end of all this is, formally, advice. And yet that advice moves armies, assigns provinces, and spends the treasury, because centuries of custom stand behind it. But you feel the new weight in the room, too. There is now one man in Rome whose opinion outranks the entire chamber, however politely everyone pretends otherwise. The debates are real, the stakes are real, and still, more and more, the first question in every senator's mind is what Augustus wants.
The session ends, and the afternoon belongs to the forum's smaller wars. You stand beside a client in court, because your face beside his is worth arguments. You witness a contract. You promise a letter, collect a rumor, and pass a smaller one back. Favors are a currency here, and a senator is a walking bank of them. Every debt remembered, every repayment noticed. Later, perhaps, an hour at the baths, the one part of the day that comes close to rest, and even there you are soaking alongside the same men you will vote against tomorrow. Home again. Before dinner, you stop at a small shrine in the house. Every Roman home keeps one. You offer a little incense or wine to the household gods and to the guardian spirit of the family line, the same way your father did. It takes a moment. It is not a show for anyone. Out of the whole day, this may be the only performance where the audience is invisible. Then comes the cena, the evening meal, and the day's last arena. In your dining room, 3 couches frame a low table, and guests recline in an order everyone understands without being told. The place of honor, the host's place, the lesser spots. Whom you invited tonight is information. Where you put them is a message. The kitchen sends out courses meant to be talked about. Slaves keep the wine moving, and the conversation slides between poetry, property, and politics until the two become hard to tell apart. Even lying down at your own table, you are still being read. The guests leave. The lamps go out one by one, and the house goes quiet for the first time since yesterday. Tomorrow, before the sky turns gray, the crowd will form at your door again, and you will be glad of it. Because in Rome, power is a performance with no final curtain. The day the Atrium stands empty, the day no one waits, no one asks, no one watches, you will still hold the rank and the stripe and the seat in the Senate. You just will not matter. And every senator knows which of those is worse.